yourself as some honey. And if something came along and gobbled you up, you were too much of a people pleaser.
If you're doing something and you feel as though that you really don't want to do it, you have to start to internalize and ask yourself, but why are you doing it still?
With my kids, they are people pleasers, and I'm telling them, no, you can say no. It's okay.
Yes.
Hey, ladies. Welcome.
Hi, hi.
We're the Three Ladies Podcast. Don't forget, subscribe. We need you. We hope you're enjoying what we're discussing. And today we're going to be talking about something that's a little painful for me because I suffer from this badly. I don't know if it's because I'm from the South or what, but we're going to talk about people pleasing and how to manage that issue as a woman.
Right.
And also, too, how do you do that with businesses? You want to please your customers. You want to make people happy with what you're providing them as a service or the quality of the goods. And so I've struggled with this issue, being someone who I could never say no, always wanted to do whatever someone wanted. I found it difficult to kind of draw that boundary of where their needs kind of were more important than mine.
Right.
And this isn't really something like a diagnosable kind of problem. It's really a behavioral thing.
Right.
And so how do I kind of, have managed to become better is, and I think this is where you come in, knowing yourself and knowing what you want
Right.
and knowing how you need to be present in the life that you're living. That helps me do less people pleasing. But it still is difficult for me to not make that other person happy or do whatever they want done.
Right.
What do y'all feel about that?
I feel like it's a coping mechanism. I do it all day at work.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm
oh, my
trying
gosh.
to make the patient happy, make the family happy, make the doctor happy. I do it at home with the kids. You want to make them happy, so you kind of go along. But I think, I don't know, I think it could go a different way too, because sometimes you have to people please to get what you want, right?
I don't know.
I'm thinking like, let's say like if you was at DMV and you got to play nice.
Okay.
To get what you, like I don't know. I think we do it as a coping mechanism. I think you're gonna have to do it because you're in relationships with people. So you're gonna have to make people happy a little bit.
Okay, so what do you define as people pleasing, though? What is people pleasing? Because, like, if I say that I do certain things for people, I'm doing it because, one, I love them.
Right.
That's why I do it for them. But I think if we're thinking about people pleasing, that we're doing something that we don't feel like doing, but we feel as though that we have to do it because, that would make them happy.
You don't feel you do it with your husband sometimes?
So here's the thing. People pleasing is, I think we do a little bit of it, but when it becomes detrimental to the point that you're not living the life that you want,
Okay.
you're not making choices that you feel are representative of you.
Okay.
You're basically doing too much work that is beyond and above what's required. So it's kind of gone like you're negating who you are completely
To please someone else.
please someone else or a job or a situation. And so I think you're right.
Yes.
Some people pleasing is helpful.
It is.
But not to the point. I always think of this metaphor. Think of yourself as some honey. And if something came along and gobbled you up, you were too much of a people pleaser because you were totally eaten up by whatever it was. And that means that you had no value other than what was needed by that other person. So to me, that's the problem, is that how do you can people please some, but what is the balance?
What is the balance?
The boundaries.
That's where the
How
boundaries.
how does it not interfere with your life
Right.
and your choices
Right.
or your business? So it's like,
Sometimes you do it out of guilt too.
really?
Like let's say with a parent, you don't want to disappoint them, so you kind of just go along with whatever it is that they want you to do. you know you don't want to do it, but that's mom. So
Even with some friendships, right? Maybe
friendships.
your friend wants to do a certain thing and you really don't want to do it, but you're like, oh, I gotta do it because that's my friend.
I don't want her to be angry. So
Right.
that's where it comes from, not
Right.
wanting
Disappoint someone.
to disappoint, the fear of rejection.
But maybe it's a give and take thing. You know, maybe if the relationship, they're not always getting their way, and they're
It is definitely
sometimes
a give and take. Yes.
doing that. So maybe it's not detrimental, but I think that's where we have to look at it, you know, is when does it become so overwhelmingly focused on the other person versus on the relationship, or that there's some inclusivity of what you want or need in the relationship, perhaps.
Right.
But I think it's a hard decision.
It is.
That's why it's difficult. And women, because of children and parents and husbands,
We're always giving.
we are.
We're always giving
It's
to a
just
fault
something that-
sometimes.
Yes, exactly.
And you know you don't want to do it, and it's pulling you, and you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, well, to Mary's point, if you're doing something and you feel as though that you really don't want to do it, you have to start to internalize and ask yourself, but why are you doing it still? If you really don't want to do it, ask yourself, why are you doing it? Are you doing it because, one, maybe you love that person and you know that person is going to make that person happy, or you're afraid of what that person is going to think of you if you say no? That's another part of it, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have somebody who actually do something, you don't want to do it, but you're like, well, I don't want her to think that, you know, I'm not being supportive or I'm not being nice to her. So those are the things you have to ration out and say and ask yourself, you know? So do you come out and just say, no, I'm not doing it? Or you're like, I'm sorry, I can't do it right now because X, Y, and Z is going on.
That's the word.
And or you know, I'll get you at another time, depending on what the situation is, right? Because you mentioned do I find that doing the same thing with my spouse, and I do. You know, I
Right.
think
I
you compromise part of it because you love the person,
Right.
and you want to make the person happy. But sometimes you also got to remember yourself that if I keep giving, there's nothing left to give. I have to remember that there's a certain balance that you just can't just keep giving. The well will come dry, and there'll be nothing to siphon from it.
So what about in a situation like with a patient? And I know I shouldn't be saying this, but I know the patient is sick. They're not leaving the building. They're gonna possibly die in this building.
Right.
And they say, I just want a piece of cake. Or can I just have that last Coke?
Well, I think,
And it's like,
you know, I think there's a balance.
That's where the guilt comes
I
in.
know, but you know, I struggled with this. My husband was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So I was his caregiver for the last 10 years of his life. I had to really, really get real with myself and go, yes, I want to make sure you're cared for, but if I give myself out totally, completely, I'm spent, I have nothing left. So I had to really make a decision that 2 days out of the week, I had someone come into the home and do certain things for me and help him. He was resentful, of course.
Right.
But I think after he kind of got used to it and he recognized I was healthier and better after that, it made a difference.
So you took a stance and you said, I'm not going to do everything. I'm going to,
I said I need help.
I need help.
I need help. And so don't you want me to have help? And I think for when we're dealing with patients, I know that's not easy.
It's hard at work.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
But there's certain ethical things that you
No.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to.
Right.
any-
So those are the things that you have to consider too. Like even though you want to make that person happy, there's certain rules and things in place that
definitely.
has to protect, you know, the institution you work at as well as yourself, your license.
right, you're like, and also too from a business perspective,
Right.
there's only so far you can go.
Oh, no.
Right.
You know, with
I'm
business,
just talking a piece of cake, y'all.
yeah, but you know, so if we're doing business with someone and they don't like our service or they don't like what we're giving
in
them,
business, yes.
you have to say, well, you know, I'm sorry you feel that way.
We'll refund you your money.
Exactly. And I hope you try us again. That's
Right.
all you can really do.
I think in business, for me, that's a little easier. But when
Right.
it's someone you love,
Yes.
that's where it
The
gets
human,
a little,
the one-to-one human connection. you know?
Right.
Like somebody coming up to you and saying something, like they want something. Are you gonna flat out say no? I think for me, I probably give an excuse first.
Right.
Right. I won't say no, get out of here. I'll be like, oh, well, you know what? Let me think about it, or let me get back to you and stuff like that. It's funny because I remember when I was younger, when salespeople used to come to me, I used to be so scared just to say no, get out of here. Not get out of here, but no, I don't want the service. I'm like, oh, let me think about it, and they'll be pressing. I'm like, okay, well, how much is it?
Right.
And then you'll buy it. Now,
I know.
You like, if you don't get off my
Oh,
doorstep.
girl, you're so funny.
I'll be on the phone with them, and I'm like, first of all, this sales technique is so weak. All right, I don't know what's
your game up.
Come on, you done wasted 2 minutes of my time already.
Wow.
All right, yeah.
You better than me, because I'm like, boop. You don't even get that far.
Right. Yeah. So that's funny because saying no now is like
It's
comes
easy,
So it comes so
right?
easy. I think it comes with maturity and age, right?
Maturity.
Yeah, when you're younger,
wisdom.
it's hard to say no because then you find yourself wanting to give an excuse like, no, but I'll do this, but now it's like that's a full sentence. No,
Right.
can I? No,
And you feel no guilt.
Yes. Have a nice
Have
day.
a nice day.
Yes. No, but no.
You're right.
Can you-
Because
no.
as you get older, you start to understand your value.
That's what it is.
I have to tell you, that came to me very late in life.
Me too.
That I
Yeah.
really didn't understand my true value. I
Right.
still struggle with it.
Yes.
But I think as you do get older, you start to go, wait a minute.
Right.
I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
You know what? I didn't have that issue because my mom and grandmother was so
see.
giving.
Wow.
Yes.
And I always felt like people were taking advantage of them.
Yes.
So early, I said, that's not going to be me. And I would tell my grandma, why do you have to do that? And she's like, Keisha, it's just my way of showing love. So I learned early, I'm not going to be like that. You're not taking advantage. I could say no.
Wow.
But you know what I like about that story you just said is that you always said about Aunt Jackie and your grandma that how they used to show love, so you knew what love looked like.
Right away.
This is true.
So when you grow up knowing what love looked like, you ain't gonna fall for the okie dokie.
Exactly.
You ain't gonna fall for if you love me, then no. I know what love is. That's not love.
Right.
By you trying to,
recognize it.
manipulate me, that's not love.
Right.
Or make me feel guilty for not doing it, that's not love.
I always say that. I said
Yeah.
I come from love. So I
Right.
recognize it.
Right.
And that's why I try to love on my kids. But I also notice with my kids, they are people pleasers. And I'm telling them, no, you can say no. It's okay.
Yes.
But then they say, Mommy, you said this person is an adult and I have to show respect.
Right.
So,
What
and
does
I
that
do
mean?
that. Right. What does that mean? Do I just go along because it's an adult telling me to do something?
No.
But how you feel, you got to let them tap into their feelings.
Right.
Did you feel good by doing it or helping that person or whatever the task or the request was?
Right.
How did you feel when you did it?
Right.
If they're okay and felt good about it, then okay, now you're making a decision. You're recognizing that what's good for you and what's not.
Right.
And if you make a decision and you do something and it doesn't feel good and doesn't feel right, then you know that's not
Follow
for
that
you.
instinct.
And that's
Yes.
a key thing for young people because so often adults will trick young people.
Yes.
And I
Take
think
advantage.
that they do. And so, I think teaching people, and this was hard for me, to recognize that your gut instincts will give you a clue
Always
if
say
a
that's the creative
situation
talking.
the situation is not safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think even as I get older, that if my gut's feeling like
Something don't feel right.
exactly,
Follow it.
exactly,
Yes.
because so often we're trying to be polite,
That's what it
or
is. Trying to be
we
polite.
don't want to make an offensive move or a gesture, and so we'll go along with something and it's not good.
That happened to my son. He was walking, and I saw him coming to me, and this lady stopped him, and she's talking to him, and then she starts praying on him. Right?
What?
And I said to him, what are you doing? He was like, well, Mommy, she said she just wanted to pray for me. I said, you can pray for yourself.
Right. What makes her prayer so much
So I
stronger
said,
than
you
yours?
allow someone to touch you and tell you that she's praying. What if she was giving you something? Or I was so upset with him, but he said to me, you told me to respect adults.
Well,
and you
that's the
told me-"
problem right there.
And I said, are you being like a people pleaser? I said, you just going along with whatever someone wants you to
That's
do.
the gift of the innocence of youth.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
And
they don't
that's me
see
teaching them you show respect to
Right.
your elder no matter
right,
what.
right.
So
they
I
haven't
stopped
lived.
doing
You
that.
see, they haven't lived the life. So our 20-year-old self would be that person.
Right.
You know, like, going to people's house and just taking stuff. I'm like, you don't drink from everybody. You don't eat from everybody's house. And when you're young, you're so innocent, and the world is like so open and big, and you think that everybody's good. Not everybody is good.
No.
And back to what you were saying, Mary, about trusting your instincts.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of times we're so taught to silence that inner voice. And that inner voice is what's leading us to our best selves. And I'll say, for example, for me too, it took me a long time to recognize that little voice. And I used to shut her away all the time, thinking like, oh, that's just being worrisome. That's just fear. Sometimes it is fear, but sometimes it's that voice is directing you in the right way.
Yeah.
And I think it's also hard when you're young. Your brain is not as mature.
Well, that's
And so
Right.
how do we teach ourselves and how do we help ourselves develop self-esteem, self-worth, understand what is a boundary?
Right.
Those are all things that I don't know. I didn't have much of those conversations as a young person with my parents or any adult.
Yeah.
So do you think the people pleasing is part of insecurity?
Oh, definitely. I feel insecure about owning what I'm thinking, owning what I'm feeling. I feel hesitant, like it's not acceptable to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. And so, yeah, it's a very big deal. So I think, it does, if you don't feel a sense of real value, and where do you get that from? Where do you really learn your value? You learn your value by how your family treats you, how your parents treat you, how your school treats you. And I think that's not an easy message.
No.
It's not.
No.
How do we learn our value? Because I think the one funny thing that I think about is we are ultimately so valuable
Very.
just because of who we are.
That's it.
Because of just by showing up in the world, you are valuable.
Right. There's
But
only
that-
one you.
But that's not a message that we're getting.
Right.
We're told, be quiet, go in there, don't show up, and
Kids are to be seen, not heard. Right? Remember that
exactly.
back in the
Yes.
day?
And now digital media, we are falling into the social media black hole.
Whew.
It's
Where,
not
where,
good.
where you're getting so much social pressures from all over the place.
So how do you feel valuable?
Right.
How do we feel valuable?
That's a good question. Like, where
you
does
know,
it come from? If
do-
you're not being taught at home, like, where would you get it from?
And from social media. If I put a big picture on social media and I've now
That's
been
why gangs flourish.
liked 1,000,000 times, yes.
Gangs flourish because they tap into those insecurities and make you feel as though that you're part of this.
Exactly. And I'm wearing these colors. and
Yes,
it
I'm
means
part of
this,
something. It symbolizes
respect,
these tattoos mean
power.
something. Yes.
It feels safe.
Right. Right.
group.
But it's really a smoke and mirrors.
Right.
Smoke and mirror. And social media too is smoke and
Oh,
mirrors.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think that's become a bigger
I think we were
issue.
blessed because we grew up in
generation.
a different.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is kind of like. But
I don't know about that.
Really?
Oh God, have
We
mercy.
grew up in a different time.
I know, but I get sucked into the deep black.
Oh, okay. Thinking about the tobacco fields.
No,
Oh, okay.
baby elephants.
Oh, the belly feel.
Oh, the baby elephants! I can't help it. Those little baby elephants. I'm
Oh,
like,
my God, Mary.
I'm horrible. I know.
Oh, my
And I mean, seriously, if somebody said something to me and I had to people please because there was some baby elephant about it, I would be okay.
Really?
Yes, I
She
would.
don't put that on social media. Now people gonna be calling her.
like-
Well, can you support our drive for the baby elephants?
She gonna be like, okay.
How much do you need?
Can you send me pictures?
People pleasing.
It's so painful, guys. So, what do you think our takeaways are? You got it.
It's okay to say no. It's okay to live in your. It's okay to live in your power and trust your gut, trust your instincts. Fill your cup up first before you can fill anybody else's cup.
I love that.
Yes.
How about you?
Mine's, and I'm thinking about what I tell my kids. Your voice matters. When you walk into a room, let your light shine. It is okay to be you.
Yes.
And don't let anyone just tell you what to do. You have an opinion.
Without
You have an
a doubt.
opinion. I even tell them with me and their dad, I'm like, if we tell you something, you have a right to go research it. And if you want to challenge it, challenge it.
I agree.
It's okay. Think for yourself.
Yes. You know, I think I learned very late in life, knowledge is power. And that if I can take a moment, if someone's asking something of me and I don't know anything about it, I'll say, let me think on that. Because then I can
It gives you time.
give me a moment to say, do I want to or do I not?
Right.
Power is in knowing. And so is this person is safe? Are they equitable with me and how they treat me? You know, and so and
like that.
how they
Equitable.
see me. It's very important.
That's right.
So, you know, I think we will continue to deal with people pleasing because sometimes we just love that person, family member,
But balance it.
but with some
Yes.
balance.
There
yeah.
you go.
You guys are amazing to me. I
Oh,
just
thank
love
you.
it.
Yes. Like
It
therapy.
does.
This feels like therapy.
Well,
does.
I love this. I love having
good.
these kind of
Yes,
deep
me too.
conversations. It
Me
makes
too.
a difference.
Absolutely.
So next time,
Next time.
subscribe.
Hit
You
the
know,
black button.
the Three Ladies podcast. We need you guys, but
And share.
without a doubt.
And it's free.
Yes.
Hit the button.
Be well. Bye.